before the storm. Ajay, Brian, we'll come back to you. Thank you. Devika. Now, let's make an assessment. We've seen terror attacks in the past. We've seen a surgical strike conducted. We all know that happened. We in fact interviewed the people who conducted it. We've seen an airstrike conducted in Balakot. The first priority, of course, is going to be to hunt down these 4 terrorists. What next?
Rishabh, I don't think this time around, because of the scale of the attack and also the nature of the attack, I don't really remember the last time there was an attempt to openly target civilians specifically. There is a slight difference when in the past we've seen a lot of, as you've also said, and India has been saying for a long time that we have been at the receiving end of Pakistan's terrorism for a very long time. So as a nation, we've seen a lot of terror attacks, yes. But in the past few instances that we've seen, majorly those attacks were targeted at military convoys or at the forces. And in those attacks, there could have been civilian casualties as well. However, this time around, because the nature of the attack has entirely changed, it seems to me as though the government's response will also entirely change because civilians have been openly targeted.
Okay, so we've seen, I mean, in Jammu we've seen civilians targeted, okay. Literally assassinations have been assassinations of Kashmiri Pandits.
Of laborers as well.
Yeah, have been carried out, or people who come to work there have been carried out. But yes, this is different, okay. So 26/11 was different because we, in the unhappy reality of our lifetimes, have grown up with, I've grown up, Barakamba Road bomb blast, Greater Kailash bomb blast. I live in Delhi, these are familiar places to me. Then Mecca Masjid, Bengaluru, this train, that train blown up, okay. We've seen it in my lifetime. I was born in the mid 80s and since the early 90s, it's been, that's what we've dealt with. 26/11 was different. That was 10 guys armed to the teeth who came and laid siege to Mumbai for 3 days. Okay, this is different now. We are going to respond. Now the quick question, Devika, is how do we respond? So as I mentioned, we've done 2 things in the past. We've done a surgical strike and we've done an airstrike. Now we are being told that the response will be unimaginable to the people who perpetrated this. So simply doing something that we've done in the past is very imaginable, let me put it that way. So what would be in the realm of unimaginable? How do we contextualize this, or what could possibly take place?
Okay, this is an assessment. I want to once again put that caveat out. Since we're talking strictly assessments, when we talk of unimaginable, of course, our number 1 priority, like I said, it's not going to be just hunting down these 4 people. We want to now send out a very clear message that terrorism will not be tolerated. Yes, we've been doing a lot of strikes against terror camps in the past as well. There have been a lot of operations in Jammu and Kashmir specifically in which hundreds of terrorists have been wiped out, but we haven't been able to perhaps target the problem at the root till this point. So in my assessment, I do believe that the government will be taking some, when they say unimaginable, there is a likelihood that several terror camps which we know exist in Pakistan, in border areas, in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, could be wiped out by the government of India. Now, how they plan on structuring that attack is of course something that is left best to the judgment of the forces and the government itself. But when we talk about unimaginable, this is the time that India has to send across the strongest possible message.
Any chance? Anything further than that? Some people would say, here's the opportunity,
yes,
go for PoK.
Yes. Again, that's a very tricky subject. But in my assessment, once again, if there is a time for India to truly reclaim PoK, this is possibly it. Because as we've seen, Pakistan is extremely weak economically, politically and militarily at this point in time. Secondly, this is not India's assault on Pakistan. This is not India retaliate. This is not an offensive by India. India is literally on the defensive right now, and therefore I believe that if the government were to take a call on PoK, that probably is a part of the discussion.
So there are two things that can happen right now. Either you see an escalated response. I would call this Balakot into 100.
Yes.
Okay, so 100 times bigger than Balakot. Or you go for broke. And yes, you can argue that you are in the most favorable situation, historically aligned favorable situation, that if you were to attempt a reclaiming of PoK in our lifetimes, now is probably it. With the current American administration in place, with the current situation with China and Russia, the current political, economic and military instability in Pakistan, they're bankrupt. The ability to afford even small arms is affected. But there are going to be consequences which have to be computed. Is it worth a protracted mountainous conflict over several weeks? Is it worth sending in troops to occupy places or reoccupy places after having removed the Pakistani establishment from them, because that will cause an economic disruption in India. You'll have to potentially shut airspace in large tracts of northern India. You might see an issue with the stock markets. You might see trade disruptions. Those will be temporary issues, but they might happen. So I'm assuming that it's a difficult call. Luckily, I don't have to make it. Okay, but there are reasons we could argue that if it is to be done, best it be done quickly. Sorry to quote the Shakespeare. Breaking developments coming in as we speak. This is from the Ministry of External Affairs, my senior executive editor.